Hello and welcome to Japan Lyric Room. In this show, we take our time to truly savor the lyrics of Japanese songs, delivering clear explanations of the meanings behind the phrases and the unique cultural backgrounds of Japan.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
You know, there's this incredibly universal feeling. It's a very specific, visceral type of heartbreak that, well, almost everyone experiences at some point in their lives.
Right, absolutely.
You're walking down a crowded street, maybe you are rushing to work or, just grabbing a coffee, and suddenly your heart just drops completely into your stomach.
Oh, yeah. Because for a split second, you see them.
Exactly. You see the person you lost, you see, like, the back of their head or the specific way they hold their coat, and your brain just screams, it's them.
It's them, yeah.
And then, well, reality catches up. You realize they moved away, or they passed on, or they're just entirely out of your life. It's completely impossible.
It really is a profound psychological glitch. I mean, your logical brain knows the truth perfectly well, but your emotional brain, your reflexes, they just haven't quite caught up yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When we lose someone deeply significant, our minds are essentially starving for their presence. So we actively scan our environment, projecting the image of that lost loved one onto complete strangers. It is a very raw, sometimes frighteningly human experience.
It really is like a glitch in the matrix of your own mind. And what's fascinating is how the artist we are focusing on today doesn't try to, poeticize that glitch. He leans right into the devastating reality of it.
He really does.
Today, we are exploring the lyrics of the song One More Time, One More Chance by Masayoshi Yamazaki, which was released on January 2010, 1997.
This is truly a landmark piece of music. So it was originally written and released in 1997 as the theme song for a film that Yamazaki himself starred in called The Moon and Cabbage.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Yeah, but the song possessed this incredible, haunting, staying power. So a full 10 years after its release, it became this borderless, legendary hit when it was chosen as the theme song for Makoto Shinkai's stunning animated film 5 centimeters per second.
That film really cemented its legacy worldwide. And when you look at Shinkai's recurring themes, the agonizing physical and temporal distance between two people who love each other, it makes complete sense why a song from a decade earlier was the perfect emotional anchor.
Exactly. And the lyrics aren't set in some abstract, ethereal void either. They are physically grounded in the area around Sakuragacho Station on the Tokyu-Toyoko line.
Which is a real place.
Yeah, it's a place where Yamazaki actually lived. The song utilizes incredibly mundane, everyday locations. By placing this overwhelming, unhealed loneliness right in the middle of an ordinary commute, well, it paints a devastatingly realistic picture of grief.
It really does. If you have ever felt that specific type of unhealed loneliness, the lyrics of this song serve as a map. So today we're going to follow that map through the streets of Sakuragicho, savoring the lyrics piece by piece to understand the profound cultural nuances and psychological depths hidden inside this heartbreak.
Sounds perfect.
Let's start with the very beginning of that journey and the terror of time passing. The lyrics open with this phrase. Translating that into English, she's saying, "One more time, seasons, please don't change. One more time, the time we spent fooling around." And here's the exact cultural nuance for this phrase. I want time to stop just once more. I cannot bear the thought of the seasons changing, turning our memories into something of the distant past.
To really grasp the weight of this opening, we have to look closely at the Japanese word utsurou. It translates to fading, changing, or decaying. It is a word deeply tied to the Japanese aesthetic appreciation of transience, the philosophy that things are beautiful precisely because they do not last.
Like cherry blossoms falling. Right?
Exactly, or autumn leaves turning. But here, the protagonist is desperately rejecting that cultural norm. He doesn't want the beauty of transience. He wants time to freeze.
Wow.
Yeah. Utsurou is used here to describe feelings cooling down and precious memories losing their vibrant color as time ruthlessly passes.
That brings to mind an old photograph left out in the sun. You look at it every single day, and slowly, imperceptibly, the vibrant reds and blues fade into these muted grayish tones.
That's a great way to put it.
The protagonist isn't merely missing this person, they are absolutely terrified. They are terrified that the vibrant, colorful memory of them fooling around together is going to inevitably decay into an ancient, colorless artifact.
They are fighting the relentless, unstoppable forward march of time itself. And when you are engaged in a battle against time, the emotional toll quickly becomes a physical burden, which brings us to the reality of the present moment in our next phrase.
All right, the struggle becomes almost tangible here. The lyrics continue.
Yeah.
In English, this means, your selfish traits made you all the more endearing. One more chance, tripped up by memories. One more chance, I can't choose my next destination. And the specific cultural nuance here is, even your selfish traits have become all the more dear to me now. My memories act like shackles, and I find myself unable to choose a way forward.
There are two brilliant linguistic choices operating here. First is the word nausara, meaning all the more.
All the more, yeah.
Yeah, it emphasizes how distance and absence magnify affection. Second is the idiom ashi otoreru, which literally means to have one's feet taken or to be tripped up.
Oh, that's interesting.
In Japanese, it's typically used to describe walking through a swamp or thick snow, where the very terrain you are walking on actively hinders your progress.
It raises such an interesting question about human nature, doesn't it? Why do we miss the flaws the most after someone is gone?
Oh, definitely.
Like, it's rarely the fact that someone paid their bills on time that you cry over. It's the fact that they always stole the blankets, or they had this stubborn, uniquely selfish streak.
Those specific flaws are what made them a real three-dimensional human being.
Yeah, it's the little things.
And that idiom, ashi otoreru, is just visceral. It's like walking through thick, heavy mud. The memories aren't just sad thoughts floating ethereally in your head. They have a physical gravity to them.
And that physical gravity is actually backed by psychology. The human brain consumes an immense amount of physical energy when processing severe grief or loss. The mud metaphor is literally true to the human body. You feel a bone-deep exhaustion. You want to walk forward to that next destination, but the heavy mud of the past refuses to let you lift your feet.
When you are stuck in that mud, unable to move forward, your brain starts playing those tricks we mentioned earlier. The logic fails, and pure instinct takes over. Listen to how Yamazaki captures this exact psychological disconnect.
Let's hear it. He sings. The English translation is, I am always searching for you, looking for your silhouette, on the opposite platform, in the windows of back alleys, even though I know you couldn't possibly be there.
Right.
And the profound cultural nuance is, I am always searching for you, looking for your silhouette, on the opposite platform, in the windows of back alleys, even though I know better than anyone that you couldn't possibly be there.
If this song has an emotional core, this is absolutely it. It perfectly captures that agonizing gap between logic and emotion. The lyrics explicitly say, even though I know you couldn't possibly be there, the rational mind has fully accepted the reality of the situation.
But the body simply refuses to accept it. The eyes are still instinctively searching. And what really stands out here is the brilliant, deliberate use of space in these lyrics. Opposite platforms and alley windows. These are very specific types of locations. They are places you can see clearly with your eyes, but you cannot instantly reach them with your body. There are physical barriers, train tracks in the way, or a pane of glass high above the street.
Oh, that's such a good point. The physical space mirrors the emotional reality perfectly. The loved one is visible in the mind's eye, but completely inaccessible in reality.
Exactly.
The opposite platform in particular is the ultimate symbol of two lives traveling on parallel tracks.
Yeah.
They are close enough to see, but they are going in different directions, destined never to intersect again.
It leaves you entirely stranded. And when you're stranded in the city, eventually you stop looking across the tracks and you look up. We reach this next line.
Yeah.
In English, because it's a night when the stars look like they might fall, I can no longer lie to myself. And cultural nuance tells us, because it's a night when the stars look like they might fall, I can no longer lie to myself.
The imagery here shifts from the mundane to the overwhelming. Hoshiga Ochisou no Yoru translates to a sky so full of stars they look like they might literally fall to the earth.
That's a beautiful image.
It is. In Japanese literature and poetry, a sky like this is undeniably beautiful, but it is also intensely, profoundly lonely. It forces a human being to confront how small they are. And that vastness triggers the second part of the phrase, itsuaru.
What does that mean?
It means to deceive oneself or to wear a mask.
Ah, I see. During the day, we put on our armor to survive. You go to work, you smile at the barista, you tell your friends, yeah, I'm doing okay today, I'm moving on.
Exactly, you wear the mask.
You build up this whole human ego, this protective shell of denial, just to function in society. But then you stand alone under a vast, endless canopy of stars. Nature's overwhelming beauty strips all that armor away instantly.
Right.
The sheer scale of the universe makes your little human lies feel ridiculous. The bright stars cruelly illuminate the truth that the protagonist has been hiding all day. They are still utterly, completely heartbroken.
It is the moment the illusion shatters. You cannot outsmart the universe. And in that moment of absolute raw honesty, stripped of all ego, the protagonist admits what they truly want if the impossible were to happen.
Which brings us to the tragedy of what was left unsaid. Yamazaki sings, the English translation is, if a miracle were to happen, I'd want to show you right now a new morning, the person I am now, and the words, I love you that I could never say. And the cultural nuance behind this confession reads, if a miracle were to happen, the first thing I'd want to show you is this new morning, the person I am now, and the words, I love you that I could never say.
Notice the crucial shift in perspective here. The focus isn't just on the selfish desire to reunite and end his own pain. It is entirely on what the protagonist wants to show the other person if that miracle somehow occurred.
What do they want to show?
They want to show their personal growth, the new morning, and the person I am now, but most devastatingly, they want to show the words they never said.
This is the part that hurts the most, because it begs the question, why didn't they just say it when they had the chance?
Right.
If you love someone that deeply, why hold it back? You don't have to be in Japan to understand the regret of thinking, I shouldn't have needed to say it out loud.
But this lyric analysis highlights how cultural norms can sometimes become our deepest personal traps, doesn't it?
It really does. It brings us to a vital piece of Japanese cultural context. In many Western cultures, verbalizing your feelings frequently is paramount to a relationship. But in traditional Japanese culture, there is a heavy reliance on implicit understanding.
Implicit understanding, like not needing words.
Yes, exactly. It's often referred to as reading the air. There's an underlying belief and sometimes a deep comfort in thinking that your true feelings are conveyed to your partner without needing to explicitly vocalize them. It's a reliance on silence as a valid form of profound communication. So it wasn't necessarily that they were too scared to say I love you. It was an assumption that the bond was so strong the other person just knew.
Precisely. But when that person is suddenly gone forever, that cultural habit of leaving things unsaid transforms into the protagonist's most agonizing eternal regret. The silence, which once felt comfortable and intimate, now feels like a massive structural failure of how they communicated.
Wow. That context changes everything. It's not just a missed opportunity. It's a realization that the silence they trusted actually betrayed them.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that overwhelming weight of regret drives the mind to extreme lengths. It's almost frightening to see where the human mind goes when it is entirely starved for someone. Listen to where the search leads next. Translating to English, I'm always searching for fragments of you. In a shop on a trip, the corner of a newspaper, even though there's no way you'd be in a place like that. And the specific cultural nuance here is, I'm always searching for fragments of you. In a shop on a trip, or even in the corners of a newspaper, even though there's no way a trace of you would be in a place like that.
The key word representing this psychological shift is kakera, which means fragments, splinters, or shattered pieces.
Fragments.
Yeah. Earlier in the song, we saw them looking for a silhouette, a whole person on a train platform. Now the memory itself has shattered. And psychologically, this perfectly illustrates the phenomenon of pareidolia.
Pareidolia.
It's where the human brain desperately attempts to assemble a meaningful image, like a face, out of completely random environmental noise.
Oh, wow. So we've moved from looking across a train track to looking in the margins of a newspaper. The empathy you feel for the protagonist here is just immense.
It really is.
The lost person was their entire world, so their traumatized mind is desperately trying to reconstruct them from random fragments, no matter how entirely absurd the location is.
It is deeply irrational, and the protagonist is fully aware it is irrational. But when someone is your entire world, their permanent absence means your world has shattered. You are left picking through the debris, the corners of newspapers, the random items in a souvenir shop, hoping against hope to find a single, recognizable fragment of the life you used to have.
It's the mind grasping at splinters just to survive the day. But eventually, even the physical world runs out of places to search. Which brings us to our final phrase. The scale of the song shifts dramatically one last time, reaching the absolute limit of existence.
Yeah, this part gives me chills.
The lyrics conclude with, in English, this means, if life repeats, I'll go to you again and again. I don't want anything else anymore. There's nothing precious to me other than you.
Such a powerful statement.
And the final cultural nuance reveals, if life were to repeat in cycles of rebirth, I would find my way to you every single time. Because for me now, there is nothing else in this world that holds any value besides you.
The phrase "inochi ga korika" introduces the profound spiritual concept of reincarnation, or the cycles of rebirth. Throughout this entire journey, we have been trapped in the mundane, physical world: train stations, alleyways, heavy mud, the corners of newspapers.
Very grounded places.
But here, the song transcends a single human lifespan. It strips away absolutely everything. All worldly desires, career, status, wealth, ego have completely vanished. The protagonist has distilled their entire existence until only one pure, absolute value remains.
I marvel at the sheer scale of this journey. We started with a person standing at a little train station in Sakuragicho, terrified that their memories were fading like an old photo. And we end with an eternal, cosmic declaration of reincarnation.
It is the ultimate confession of love.
Across time, across lifetimes, across the universe itself. I'll find my way back to you.
When we look at the emotional arc of this entire lyric analysis, what strikes me most is that this song never, not even once, tells the listener to move on.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't offer cheap platitudes about time healing all wounds. Instead, it fully validates the experience of those who simply cannot leave the past behind. It takes those ordinary, everyday intersections and train crossings and elevates them, turning them into permanent, beautiful monuments of lost love.
It directly challenges our modern societal obsession with closure. We are constantly told that healing means forgetting, putting the past in a neat little box, and moving forward unburdened. But savoring the lyrics like this leaves you with a very provocative thought to take with you.
What's that?
What if true healing isn't about moving on at all? What if true healing is accepting that this profound, inescapable sense of loss is actually a precious, deeply beautiful part of your life story, simply because it proves how deeply you were able to love?
That is a really beautiful way to look at it.
Thank you so much for listening today. We regularly select various Japanese songs and post detailed lyric analyses on our website. If you want to savor the lyrics even more deeply, please check out our website from the link in the description. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe and follow us. Also, if you have any thoughts or requests for songs you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time. This has been Japan Lyric Room.